Hi guys, I am so sorry that it took me so long to upload a new video, first off and foremost. And secondly, I I just kind of want to explain a little more about that. I've been back at school, and so things have been kind of busy, kind of stressful, and a lot of other things going on in life right now. And so I'm sorry that this came out a lot later than I expected and that it's like sped up so much because it took absolutely forever to get done, but here it is. I did a speed paint of something from The Last Guardian because I really enjoy that game and I enjoy watching people play that game. If you don't know what it is, I highly recommend you go check it out. It's the successor of Shadow of the Colossus and some other game that I'm probably forgetting the name of, but I can't think of right now. But it's the third game developed by that company that made that game. And it's essentially about how a boy and this beast, which is nicknamed Trico, make friends, I guess, and try to escape these pillared ruins. And so, I guess this is kind of a spoiler in its own sense. I probably will mark it in the video that there are spoilers. But I will say that now that you've had a warning, uh, this at the end of the game, the Trico and like the beasts or whatever, it is highly theorized, given by the ending of the game, that they have babies. And it's confirmed that the boy ends up becoming an adult and probably what are assumed to be his children in that last scene as well. And so I thought it would be a cool concept if I drew both of the families meeting together after what I assume is literally decades of time since the boy grows up. I thought that this would be really fun to do, mostly because one, I thought that drawing Trico would be really, really fun because of his character design, or her. I don't exactly know if it's confirmed whether or not Trico has a gender, but I also wanted to work more with things like architecture, so... And I do, again, apologize about how fast it's sped up. Some people complain about it when it's sped up more. The only reason it's more nauseating or like stressful, I think, for some people to look at this when it's sped up so much is because unlike most artists who will stay zoomed out for most of the time and only zoom in to do some things that are smaller, I zoom in with even the big stuff. I zoom in and out a lot when working on something, and other artists, from what I've studied, don't exactly do that when they do speed paints. I've looked at tons of examples of other artists who take just as much time, if not more, to do the things that I'm doing, but they don't ever zoom out as much. So whenever I speed up any of my videos up by a large value, it turns out pretty fast looking and it looks a little more chaotic. I don't really know if I can change that though, because that's just how I draw. So I do apologize for that. I'm not exactly sure how I can fix that, but I will try to, in the future, figure out a way to make it so it's not so fast, and maybe I just won't include every segment. I know for this video I had to take a lot of segments of recording out because if I kept them in, then it would just be way too much and you wouldn't be able to follow basically anything. And so that's, it kind of sucks, but it's just how things might go from here on out. You might not see every part of every process, but it'll be enough, I think, so that at least people aren't nauseous while watching the video. I think drawing this bridge was pretty fun. I like working with things that are textured like wood, I guess. Anything with any textures is like interesting to work with. And at first I thought that what was around the entire ruined area was a wall at first, but then I forgot that it was actually like natural like structures and stuff like that. So I fixed that. I will say that I probably should have done a lot more research when looking into the architecture of this game, because although some of it looks kind of accurate to the game, a lot of it looks really stylistic and not what the game looks like at all. And so I do apologize for that if any of you guys are picky about how, I guess, certain buildings look or certain bridges or whatever. Some people are more picky about that, some people are not. I think it looks good enough, because some of it looks like it'd be in the game, but some of it is not exactly. I like being accurate, because then it makes the true fans of some of these things a lot more happy. Building these smoke effects were cool, though, too, and the shading below. I also realized, and I really hate to say this in a video because I know it annoys some people, but I've noticed based off of my analytics on my videos that a lot of you guys that watch these videos, specifically the more popular ones, most of you end up watching them, but like more than like 90% of everyone who watches my videos is not subscribed. And the only reason why I say please do try to remember that that button is there is because it supports creators when you do. You don't have to get notifications or anything like that, and it doesn't matter if you do, if you just simply subscribe. You don't have to be notified of everything that I end up doing, but if you enjoy what I do and perhaps want to see more of it in the future, please consider doing that, because it really does help. Alright, here a lot of stuff was skipped, so I'm going to explain a little bit. What I did was I did some flat colors of the boy and his son, as well as Trico and their babies, or at least the concept of what I thought Trico's babies would look like. I did use references for the men and the children in the village, though, because I thought that since they actually have references, I might as well use them. But there's no canon references of like baby Trico or anything like that. I will say, though, I guess what's interesting about the people in this village is their clothing design, because it's not completely one uniform. They're completely the same colors, but like there's somewhat different uniforms, and I think that they might signify something in the game. I don't know if that's true or not. Something maybe about the class that they're in, or what their job is, or something. Because the same outfit that the boy wore in the game, or at least the main story of the game, is not the same as the outfit looks when he wears it as an adult. Or as chief, is what assumedly his position is in the last part of the game. I'm sorry. It's really hard to think right now because I'm recording this really early in the morning. I'm still not quite used to using my voice the way that I do for these videos. I'm not exactly still ready for that. Some people think my voice is deep, some people think it's higher pitched. I don't really know, but I don't really care. For any of you guys in the comments that might draw at all, whatever you draw, is there something that you listen to in the background? Because before editing it out, I realized that I was listening to a ton of like Netflix and YouTube while drawing. In general, I think I just do that. Alright, I was working on some of the textures for the hair and the clothes for the people over on the left ledge, but I think my favorite part of drawing this in general was, of course, drawing Trico and Trico's babies. Not exactly the feathers, because I think feathers can get really annoying, especially with the fact that I just don't draw really detailed feathers. I'm better with things like fur. Even though this was fantastic practice to work with fur, and I'll You'll see that later, I guess. But I will say that it's very interesting with Trico's design. If you didn't know, by the way, Trico is a name when pronounced Toriko. It is a mix of the two words in Japanese that mean bird and cat. So, for any of you wondering, Toriko, or Trico, is like a cat bird, I guess, canonly. So, but it has the behaviors of like a cat, a dog, a bird, and all kinds of different animals. And that in and of itself, I think, is really cool. I also think it's kind of weird that Trico has purple ears. I don't know what would be the purpose of that, but Trico has purple ears. I don't know if that means anything, but I think that that's interesting. Also, I don't know if it's weird that I gave the babies horns as well. Like, because most animals, as they are very young, they don't grow in their horns until later, if the animal itself has horns at all. But I thought that maybe because these are like magical creatures that have some sort of major connection with whatever does go on in their horns, as displayed in the game, I would think that maybe from a young age it would be important that even if the horns are small, that they would have them. So that's a little detail I put in. Here I think I started working on things like the fur. Not just the shading, but the fur. I will say that I think part of the reason why this took so long is, one, I mean, there's just so much that happened in the background that took forever to do, rather than drawing the Tricos themselves or the people. I think there was just so much in the background architecturally that it kind of overwhelmed me, and so it took a while for me to do that. And I've been going through a lot of different things lately that have made me stressed out or depressed or anxious or whatever bad things that one might experience or feel. But I guess that hasn't really been helping me to draw, because I guess it's common sense. If you're not happy, you're less prone to do things that make you happy, I guess. Which both sucks and is kind of weird. I don't know. Psychology is odd. I'm a lot better now, I guess. Now that it's done and I've finished drawing it and I've finished recording it, and that I'm almost done editing this video to be released. But I don't know. I think that's why it took so long, because I know some people, even though they don't say it, they're always wondering, well, what took you so long? Making these guys' faces was one of my favorite things as well. I get to mess around with different textured brushes that I was able to have and different layer properties, which is always really fun for me. I don't know why. I also love how they have whiskers, because I think that's a good detail. As for why they have black whiskers, I have no idea. Some people are curious about things like the colors of fur or skin in animals. I will say that although I am proud of this for certain parts of its components, I am kind of disappointed that I wasn't feeling the best when just doing this entire thing in general. And so there are some parts of this that I think are great on how it turned out, but some parts that I still wish I could have done better, or I could have thought of better, or redone, or something. I'm not exactly sure. Doing this was super fun too, the lighting. I think once I did the lighting, I was getting really happy with how things were looking, because they were starting to look how I actually wanted them to, if not better than how I pictured them in my head. I'm probably gonna make this my background. And doing that light with the sun straight on one side, that was super fun to play around with. I could have made it a little more intense, I think, but other than that, I think it was fine. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and uh, I'm really sorry that it took so long to get out. Here's the picture of it, and I'll see you guys later, assumedly. Stay fluffy.